yeah, I'm Josh Naylor. I'm a technical evangelist, and it sounds as preachy. It is as preachy as it sounds. So I travel around EMEA, talking to developers and giving them the good word about Unity, knocking on people's doors, telling them how good and amazing David Helgeson is, our founder, and generally just spreading the word and showing people new features and what we have to offer at Unity. And it's not just a game engine, and that's what I'm here to talk to you about today. So many people are scared by the term game engine, and for the past few years, everyone's like, "Oh, we don't do game technology. We're serious. We do business stuff. We create awesome experiences and interactive elements to our stuff, but we don't use game engines. That's just for gamers." And that's not exactly what it is. We're an interactive engine. So yeah, I mean, if we look at the world around us, we live in a three-dimensional world, right? And our kind of involvement and our interaction with technology has always been 2D, even with the introduction like 2D touchscreen phones. It's always been that level of abstraction, and we've always missed that depth. We've always been taking away from the real world. How many of us just sit around on the tube or at home, not talking to our partners or family and just clicking away at our phones? It takes us away from that. And look at how we have consumed media and how we've educated ourselves through the ages, right? Even from caveman reading stones. It's always been a very singular experience. We've always been away looking at something and never been able to share. We're skipping slides already. But just think about ways we can actually share and feel. We've always used two of our senses, see and hear. But with virtual reality and augmented reality, XR, as it's now coined, or MR for Microsoft, we can also feel or touch. Well, people are saying touch. I think the word is feel, and we should feel how we're interacting with things and feel how we can share that information with everybody else. And just wait until we can have like a sensorium in our living rooms and share and collaborate with our friends, family, and colleagues. You'd be able to see everything that I'm doing like here, right? And it's now possible because of the advancements in technology and hardware. Like the phone in my pocket, which was there, but I have to leave at the back because of the clicker stuff, is 10, 20, 30 times more powerful than the hardware that went to the moon on the Apollo 11, which is pretty amazing, right? And what's driven that over the past 10, 20 years is pure entertainment. 3D graphics, games. I personally like the 4th version with the ridiculous pointy nose and chin. But the advancements in technology has all been down to games. Real-time rendering, real-time physics, real-time graphics, real-time lighting. And this is the difference from 10 years. 1996, the first Tomb Raider, to 2016, the most recent one. And this is where Unity comes into it. We're a 3D, real-time, interactive engine, not just a game engine. And these are some of the things what people have created in mixed reality with Unity. Whoops. Let's go again. It's a pretty good tune though, right? Let's just leave that there. there's some really cool projects, which I'll go into later on. And that's 2 minutes of my talk. But yeah, so these are some examples of games that are previously released with Unity. And like I said before, people are so scared because we've always been, for the past 10 years of our existence, a game engine. But there's so much more to that. And the reason why we're so awesome, and that's my job to say that, personal opinion, is because of our integration of lots of different tools and engines and frameworks. So for our rendering and lighting, we're using Geomeric's Enlighten, real-time lighting engine, and working our own baked lighting with Imagination Technologies through a thing called a Progressive Light Mapper. You may have seen that in our keynote last week at Unite Europe. We've also got things like audio engines, such as Fmod integrated, terrain tools, materials, shader editors, special effects, such as our particle systems, and working on new FFX editors, as well as visual scripting, we're working on stuff like this. And then just the editor itself and the workflow. The reason why people have been so successful with Unity and use it for their livelihoods, right? Games, interactive experiences, is because of the editor. The fast, iterative process, and being able to use C# or JavaScript to create these immersive worlds. And just the general workflows as well. So it's not just a programmer tool. We're introducing so many new tools such as animations and timeline tool, visual scripting, and things like that for artists to be able to contribute to the full project, not just create some art in 3ds Max or Maya and give it to the programmer. Now they can be part of that pipeline itself. And another huge, huge bonus for Unity is just the pure amount of platforms that we support. Whoa, where's it going? No, the wrong way. We currently support 27 different platforms, which is pretty insane, and I probably would not be able to name them off the top of my head. That's why I have this nice little image. But the main ones for these for VR are obviously PC, Mac, and Linux. We also announced at the Apple conference last month that we're supporting Metal 2, and we've got an experimental build for Steam VR on Mac, which is pretty awesome. Obviously, PC is the main one for Oculus and PC HMDs. Then we support mobile with Cardboard and Gear VR, and then we're supposed to support the PlayStation Pro for PSVR, and Vuforia, and HoloLens, and everything. But it all started with this guy, and no matter what your political stance is, you can still kind of agree that he did some amazing stuff for VR. So Palmer came to David Helgeson, our founder, like 4 or 5 years ago, and was like, "Oh, we want to launch this headset. Will you be involved with our Kickstarter?" And David Helgeson came to our guys, and he was like, "Oh, this kid, he's like 20, he's got this cool idea," and everyone was like, what the fuck's this? Like, what is this?" And then it was hugely successful on Kickstarter, and it kind of kicked it all off. And from there, we gave everybody who wanted to develop for VR a Unity Pro license, so they could develop with Unity 4. And then, as time went on, we integrated all of the headsets. So right now, we have native HMD support for HTC, the Vive, the Oculus, PSVR, and we're working on the Google Cardboard VR and the Gear VR native integration as well, which is pretty awesome. As well as lots of different rendering techniques, such as single-pass rendering. Things like, lost my track of thought now. Things like all of the input system as well. So we're rewriting our entire input system to have native VR support as well. And then if we look at AR into the future as well, we're already supporting HoloLens, so like 94% of all HoloLens development is on Unity now. And you can also do it in DirectX C++ if you're an absolute nutter, but nobody wants to do that. And the majority of, I think 64% of all known VR and AR applications are now made with Unity, which is pretty amazing. So this is the future. And it's pretty amazing, right? It's beautiful. And we're really, really invested into virtual reality, and that's why we're marketing ourselves as this 3D interactive, real-time, which is a very key word here, engine. And we are going to be the future of people, of old people, that gets to sit there in their living room and experience the life that they've had in virtual reality. Just imagine we're all going to be walking around with headsets or AR glasses, wearables, and we're also going to be being able to record our lives in 360 and recapture that and watch it for years to come. But one of the most amazing things now is how we're working on tools for people to collaborate. So I'm going to be involved in the hackathon downstairs as well, and the main theme of this is working in ways in AR and VR to collaborate with others. So this is Editor VR, a new experimental thing that we've been doing at Unity for the last few months. And this is a way of actually using the editor in VR. So instead of being a developer and swapping in and out of VR all the time, you can actually come in, see the inspector, pull in game objects, change the values in the inspector and the hierarchy, move them around, and get a feel for the world rather than doing it in 2D on a screen and then swapping in between all the time. And then we're also working with people like the guys from Tiltbrush. So if you've not used Tiltbrush before, it's a three-dimensional painting tool. Oh my God. And they released a thing called Tiltbrush Toolkit. So you can be in Tiltbrush, paint anything that's in your imagination, and then you can export it back to Unity. So you're using an application to paint something else that you can then bring back into Unity. So this is one of the things I'm going to be doing for the hackathon is painting things in Tiltbrush, bringing it into Unity, and setting up a recording feature so that you can share with people what you want to see. And then we're working on consumer tools as well. So this example is called Carte Blanche, and this is a way of integrating modding or world building into games for consumers. So I could give this to a 10-year-old kid, which is like a mod of my game, and they can build a world and share it with their friends. So even consumers can be creators and collaborators to your worlds and interactive experiences as well. And then we're working with guys like Job Simulator, the Alchemy guys, on mixed reality in terms of broadcast. And there's no better way to show people and broadcast when you can see both you as a person and what you're doing and the virtual world that you're in. Oh my God. So imagine watching your favorite Twitch streamers or YouTubers or watching esports in virtual reality so that you can see what they're doing, you can see the world that they're in, and that augmented and virtual world. And you just feel so much more presence and you can feel, the key word again, what they're doing. And it's also about transporting people all around the world, right? Not everybody can fly off to Egypt or Colombia or Asia to experience something, but they can experience it in virtual reality. And Google are doing some awesome work with their Google expeditions in the classroom, transporting these children all around the world for amazing field trips. And just another example of how powerful virtual reality can be. This example is a 360 video and story about a young girl that's in a camp in Syria, and it's guiding you through her daily life. And if you see this on the news, on Sky News or something, about, oh, that's quite sad, it's not a great situation to be in. But when you're there and see it and feel it, it's so much more immersion and presence, and it's quite upsetting. This is an animation by Aardman Studios in the UK, about some Turkish refugees on a boat crossing the border. And again, it's that feeling of immersiveness and presence. And you can see here, this is not like hyper-realistic. This is like low-poly animations and models. And it really doesn't matter. People think that VR is hyper-realism and amazing high-end graphics. And Dom will probably argue because they have to sell graphics cards. But this can be a Gear VR experience and still feel and share that story. And if you've tried this experience before, you've never felt so much more empathy for a hedgehog in your entire life. So this little dude looks at you and cries with his teary eyes when he pops his balloons on his birthday. And it kind of serves him right because he's a hedgehog with a balloon pie, right? But again, the key word that we're trying to convey in virtual reality is the presence and immersiveness and feeling what that character is going through. And you can also get that in AR as well. So this is Scott Kelly, the longest astronaut ever in space. And you can see he's got a HoloLens on. And NASA JPL actually shipped 2 HoloLenses to the ISS with Unity applications on. So this is called Project Sidekick. And this is a way to help the astronauts in their daily life. So what they do here is go around, float around the ISS, and they're going through their daily chores, maintenance, and fixing things. And there can be an engineer down at ground control in Houston drawing what they actually need to do, and it's augmented over, obviously, what they're seeing. Really, really amazing use case scenario, and we got to go visit them in LA a few months ago to see how that's working. And then more onto what I'm here for the hackathon with Audi. This is a studio in the UK called Zero Lights, and they're working on just virtual exploration for automotive. So people can go into a showroom and see what the car that they're about to buy is going to look like. They can change the wheels, they can change the spoilers, they can change the color, and actually get a sense of what it would look like, which is pretty awesome. And then there's also experiences for marketing purposes, such as like this Game of Thrones Ascend the Wall demo, where you're actually in the cages and it's rattling around, and you feel as though you're ascending the wall, which is pretty awesome, and I can't wait for Game of Thrones next month. And then there's just some amazing 3D art concepts that are coming from virtual reality. So these are just some stuff that I found on Twitter by some artists. And again, it's just ways that people can share and collaborate and show the world what they're creating in 3D, rather than being a very long sculpting process or doing it on a flat canvas. And with Tiltbrush, you can actually go into the experience and see a recording of what the artist has created. And then there's some awesome examples by Disney as well. Disney Zurich, the labs there. Ways for kids to draw, to imagine real-life objects coming out of their play areas and canvases and books. And then the thing that got us all off our arses and walking around the city and catching Pokemon, right? Pokemon Go has been an amazing success. Again, Ollie's made with Unity. And it's kind of the consumer's first foray into what AR is. And people now understand, like my mum now knows what AR is because of Pokemon Go. And those kind of killer apps, although they're not like huge technical achievements for what we would consider as like developers, they're kind of what we need to push to consumers for the future. Because we never really know what pill consumers are going to take. And it's up to us as developers to create these experiences that I've shown so far so that they can get an understanding and feeling and presence and that immersiveness and invest into VR. And that's me. Thank you very much for listening.